One more take on the Diablo 4 dev update. Let's see it.
Season 2 looks surprisingly good from the dev update livestream. I'm going to break down some of the highlights in this video that make me excited. Now, first of all, I didn't
Okay. Maybe this is just positivity.
think there was going to be as many changes. I did not think there was going to be as much new additions to the game as there seems to be. Whether or not this is enough for you to come back and try the game, if you are not currently playing the game, is up for you to decide. But I'm going to lay down the information so you have it available on the highlights of what makes me the most excited about Season 2. So with that being said, I want to tell you the number one change that I actually like the best. And you might think I'm going to go with the fact that Uber Uniques are going to be farmable, or there's 5 new bosses, but actually it's something different. So items in this game feel bad to farm, and they're trying to work on that with this one change is one such addition I actually like. So for instance, World Tier 4...
Yo, he has probably like at least three relatively expensive escorts right there, and they're currently doing blow from each other's a-holes. Yo, he gave up that to do a Diablo 4 update. You have to appreciate it, you know? You have to appreciate a little bit of that dedication right there, okay? I wouldn't certainly do that.
4 now only drops Ancestral.
He also has 3 body bags ready to go. Man, it's gonna be a wild ride.
Items. World Tier 3 only drops Sacred items. So you remember before when you're in World Tier 4 and you're getting Sacred, I'm like, why am I getting Sacreds when I'm on World Tier 4? Obviously, I'm not going to use the Sacred.
When you go into World Tier 3 and you start getting Sacred items dropping for monsters, you will find that you will no longer be having normal items dropping for monsters. The only items that will drop for monsters in World Tier 3 will be sacred in nature. Instead, when you would have...
That's good, but that also says that Diablo 4 devs are completely giving up on a real crafting system. Nice.
Got like a rare item before, you're going to get crafting materials that you can use instead. When you go into World Tier 4, only ancestral items will drop for you as you're playing. You will no longer see sacred items or normal items.
Now it is easier to acquire the gear that you're looking for, which, yes, might make it easier for you to gear out your character in a game that's already easier to gear out the character. However, they're moving the goalpost and what the goal is for gear. So now Uber Uniques are actually going to be farmable, and they said that you will know people with Uber Uniques.
You will absolutely know people that have Uber Uniques after this goes live, and there's a way for you to farm them specifically from going after Duriel. They're still very rare relative to other item types, but it's not like it was in the past. Like, you're going to see people in your clan that have Uber Uniques. You're going to know people that have Uber Uniques. You have a way to hunt for these.
How are they going to be Uber Uniques now that everyone's going to want them? Because if you want to max out your character, you're gonna find probably every Uber Unique in the game. That's just the reality, honestly. Because there's no hat that even comes close to being as overpowered as Shaco. There's nothing. And same, honestly, exact situation with every other Uber Unique drop in the game. They're just 100 times legitimately stronger than normal gear. So, it's not going to be Uber Uniques anymore. It's going to be like, oh, look at that. We all look the same. Wow.
They actually want these to be an acquirable piece of gear. You might ask yourself, how do I acquire the Uber Uniques? Well, it's fairly simple. There is a new Uber boss, which is easier than Uber Lilith, they stated, called Duriel. In order to summon him, as well as other new bosses, you're going to need to acquire boss summoning materials, which will be tradable. Effectively...
By the way, it looks from this exactly like I predicted. This guy is icy, so he's all obviously going to be in the highlands, fjords, or whatever it's called. You know, the first the first map part. So you're going to find those materials there. Probably swamp, because, you know, it looks like the swamp, and, you know, every zone's gonna have a boss.
Making trading in the game somewhat matter, because now there might be an economy around getting the materials you want in order to farm the boss that maybe drops the unique you want. Because not only can now you farm the Uber Uniques through the Uber Duriel boss fight.
That's nice, but then again, at the same time, I would like to obviously say that, well, it's not like trading's gonna be done easily. We're still gonna probably have to log on to a dodgy third-party website to trade if we want to trade, because otherwise trade is non-existent.
Right, but the new uniques coming to the game, for instance, Varshan, these new bosses have targeted unique loot pools. So if you're looking for certain uniques, then you can actually target farm these bosses by doing specific things within the game. For instance, Tree of Whispers is going to give you the materials you need to summon Varshan, and Varshan will have a loot pool of unique.
So if you want to go hunt Varshan, you need to go complete Whispers. There's chances for you to find like malignant creatures as you're completing Whispers in the overworld, and you'll also be able to get these new malignant body parts you need from completing Whisper bounty turn-ins. You'll be able to go and basically throw these materials into this new brazier that we've added to be able to summon Varshan back from the dead to fight him for the special loot that he has.
Now you might say to yourself, well, DM, that doesn't really matter to me because uniques are dog shit in this game, to which I would agree with you. Well, here's the thing. They're actually changing uniques. So on the 10th, they're going to be doing another live stream. And yes, I will be live when it comes out to actually watch that one live. I will be home by then. Apologies for the bad audio. But uniques are going to change significantly, is what they state. And that will be announced on the 10th with a full list of changes.
We still actually have more to talk about.
Yeah, we didn't talk about classes.
We didn't talk about
unique items.
We didn't talk about unique item changes.
We didn't talk about the damage buckets.
And I will note, like, unique item changes, like I said before, like pretty much almost all unique items, or nearly all unique items are getting some sort of
painfully high levels of audio, not gonna lie.
Of update, which we will talk about on October 10th.
Now you might be wondering, okay, this sounds good for normal standard gameplay, but what about the season coming up? So actually there's significant changes in the season as well. So for this season 2 is going to be both partly like Caged of Hearts, but also not like Caged of Hearts. So let me actually explain to you the differences here. So Caged Hearts go in the jewelry sockets.
Yes.
Vampire powers, it is a season of the blood, and there are 22 new vampire powers for you to choose from are going to go...
That's, by the way, in my opinion, probably roughly... we would need probably 60. 60 would be roughly the amount we need, so there's at least 4 or 5 interesting powers in there. Because we already saw, Zazarian covered this a little bit, and man, those vampiric powers look fucking stupid. Okay? The descriptions of them are very, very not hype-inducing at all. Like, one of those powers literally was make the game less good for you, which is amazing.
In the armor slots.
Throughout the season, players are going to be able to acquire up to 22 vampiric powers.
This is the one. Get hit fear enemies for 2 seconds. Why would you ever want this? This is just going to make your gameplay worse, without question.
They play. And these are designed such that they are, unlike in Season 1 where with Malignant Hearts, we had a lot of very class-specific hearts baked in. We tried to make sure that the vampiric powers that players collect in Season 2 are all class-agnostic in nature.
That's stupid, by the way. I didn't mention this previously, but I think that's stupid. I think it's really bad that you don't have class-specific things. Because think about it. When there's no class-specific things... Which one was the best caged heart in Season 1? Obviously the Necromancer one that automatically casted your abilities. A heart like that would have never seen the light of day if the hearts were designed to be for everyone and no class specifically. And this is already what they are giving up with the vampiric powers being just essentially percentile updates. That's what they're gonna be, because you can't these vampiric powers are not gonna make your character's abilities cooler or do anything like that. The caged hearts at least did that for the Necromancer, but with this, there's that's never happening.
You need to acquire a certain amount, certain armor pieces that have these packs associated with them in order to fuel these.
So that is where it is similar. However, you're going to level up the abilities through materials you will acquire on your gear. Okay. Which will make the powers effectively stronger. And some of these powers are actually quite ridiculous. Now, they have the full list of 22 of them. I'm not going to go over all of them because this is a highlight video, and I will go over all of the vampire powers in a different video. But I actually thought that...
Heretic. For every 5 basic skills you cast, one of your active cooldowns is reduced by 2. I kind of like that, honestly. I kind of like that because there's already a pretty relatively easy way to play a druid that just constantly spams Cataclysm, to be fair. Or, you know, a necromancer that spams Blood Tide. Huh. Interesting.
That part looked pretty interesting, and they say every piece of these are going to have a pact associated with it, and it gets kind of complicated, so we're going to have to go over that in sort of a separate video. But the vampire powers actually look fairly decent. There's a few of them that look sort of juicy. So the aim of these are not to be so class specific, for instance, like the caged hearts, but a little bit more of broad sense powers that can be used by anyone depending upon your builds. I think like the one that comes to mind, for instance, is there's one that increases your damage of your ultimate based upon how many dots, you know, are currently going on the enemies around. So I think it was like 12%. I'm doing that from memory, so you have to excuse me. Like 12% increased damage per enemy that's currently suffering the damage over time effect. So you can see they're trying to put these powers out into the ether in order for people to take them and try to run with them with new builds. So that is effectively how the Season of the Blood powers will work. But there's more coming to Season of the Blood. So Season 1 was basically just caged hearts, okay? Season 2, we get the Caged Hearts Plus, but then they also have new things coming to the game. For instance, there's this new area called the Blood Harvest.
Man, last video I had to figure out that the Caged Hearts are gonna still stay in the game. And how did I do it? This clip right here, watch.
Coming to the game. For instance, there's this new...
we couldn't see it. But at one point you see the lightning zap between them, and that's a Caged Heart proc for the lightning rod thing. So that's how, oh man. They just said that? I had to guess that from that, oh, I'm so pissed.
New area called the Blood Harvest, which is sort of like the Hell Tides. Instead of Hell Tides being only in certain parts of the world at certain times, these actually take over zones and will always be up. So you're always having the ability to farm them.
There's always a blood harvest active across Sanctuary at any given time. Like when a blood harvest ends in one location somewhere in Sanctuary, a new one's going to pop up as Lord Zir's forces now move to a new location.
There are currencies you will be farming that will actually open these caches as well with rewards in them, but the currency doesn't disappear. So you can choose to go farm it when you want, and then come back to it and farm when you want in order to get these currencies.
Good, that's good.
You're going to be earning a couple of new materials that you don't get elsewhere, and that is you're going to be able to earn bloodlures, which bloodlures that you'll be able to use to basically like bait bloodseekers to come to you to be able to fight packs of them as time goes on. And you're also going to be earning these vampiric keys you can use to open like prisoners like cuffs, to be able to open vampiric caches and other things out in the overworld.
Now you're going to earn blood lures, which are going to bring in something called blood seekers. The way I understand the explanation of these are are like NPC players. So it's not real players, but they're basically based around
it's just rogue exiles. Nice. Dude, which PoE update was this? Was Rogue Exiles like the third or fourth season that they ever did?
Their classes. So like there's a barbarian, and the barbarian will use skills like whirlwind. There will be necromancers, you know, things like that, rogues, what have you, that will be associated with the skill sets within those classes. So you're going to almost have like PvP battles, but not really because they're not players. Again, you are playing.
Yeah, you're not going to get one shot at that.
And they drop the potent blood. They're found in your overworlds, and they'll also invade you in dungeons. So if you are thinking of, you know, like Dark Souls, Elden Ring, people invade you, you're doing a dungeon, you're going to get invaded, sort of like a butcher, or so that is my understanding as it currently states. So I thought that looks kind of interesting. There's also another linear progression system, or vertical progression system, I suppose, called Hunter's Acclaim. You're going to do like these challenges to get more power and gear, sort of vague at the moment.
As you do things in the Blood Harvest area, as you're killing Bloodseekers, as you are freeing prisoners, as you're completing new Blood Harvest themed whispers that are also going to be active in those areas, you're going to be earning Hunter's Acclaim that will allow you to basically go and earn a number of other rewards. Some of the vampiric powers that you want to unlock for your character are available through this system. A few of them, and then there's lots of like potent blood you can get from the system, and then also gear as well as you're progressing through.
Now, moving forward, there's new bosses.
I mean, that does seem kind of okay.
As they mention these with each a unique pool, there are 5 new bosses, and like I stated earlier, you access these bosses through acquiring different materials, which again are tradable from doing different activities. Varshan, for instance, with the Tree of Whispers. There's the Galvanic Saint, which is like a lightning boss, and you can do that by completing Hell Tide. So we have another reason to actually do the Hell Tides as well.
One of the new creatures that we're adding.
I understand, by the way, the Tree of Whispers, but Hell Tides? Oh man, that's just gonna be such an absolute pain.
Is this the Galvanic Saint. This is a new, like very lightning-themed boss that players will be able to go and engage with as they complete Helltide content. They will learn Infernal Steel from opening various caches and use this as a way, as part of a new layer, to go and summon the Galvanic Saint and deal with his lightning-themed attacks.
Now, if you kill these 2 bosses, this is going to give you what you need in order to summon that level 100 Uber Durio boss to get the Uber Unique. So you effectively have to farm these certain bosses in order to get to the next boss. So if you want to farm Uber Uniques, then...
I thought that every boss just has a chance to drop something. Okay, this is kind of nice.
Maybe you acquire a lot of gold currency and you trade for...
Well, this is definitely going to add like 40 hours of grind to people who want to get this. So I guess this is actually better than I thought. Okay.
Since to another player
at
to
least
buy,
time-wise.
if people are willing to sell it for gold, I'm sure they would be worth more than, you know, people don't need gold as much as they're going to want the currencies for this, or I guess a friend could give it to you or something. You would then farm the other bosses in order to get the pieces that you actually need to summon the Uber Unique, or the Uber boss fight, which is easier than Uber Lilith, by the way. They've doubled down on mentioning that, which will give you access to these Uber Uniques.
Additionally, when you kill Varshan and when you kill the Galvanic Saint in World Tier 4, they drop summoning components that you need in order to summon Durian.
Wait, why is it called the Beast in the Ice? Is the ice special? Why is it the ice? Why is it not Beast in Ice? Huh. Okay.
King of Maggots, you know, who is a new level 100 boss that we're adding as part of the seasonal experience, who has a chance to drop unique items as well as a low chance to drop uber unique items.
There's also like an ice beast. You get pieces to summon him through the Nightmare dungeons that are tier 30 plus. So we have another loot system through the Nightmare dungeons. So if you're looking to fight that boss in particular with the unique...
By the way, I will say one good thing about this currently that it looks, that, you know, with this explanation, which is way better than Zazarian's explanation. Bruh, did you even try? No. Okay. This does look slightly better because, okay, so this is Season 2. They added... So they didn't just add randomly bosses, which already is huge, honestly, in my opinion. And... you get an activity and there's an actual reward, and that reward is a boss that can drop something pretty cool and pretty good. That's nice. And if they add 5 more bosses in season 3 after that, it's gonna be pretty good. It's gonna be okay. I think it's gonna be really nice.
Again, there's unique loot pools, and the uniques will change to hopefully be better, so the itemization feels better. If you're looking to acquire those uniques, you can...
Now, if they add, for example, 5 more bosses and similar systems like this in the next expansion... Well, not the expansion, but I mean, next season... And they fix the stats that are actual interesting stats... For example, just, you know, copy PathXL blatantly their stats and how they work. It could be really good. I can legitimately see now Diablo 4 being a pretty good game by even as early as Season 3 at this rate, because of the amount of things that they add that people are going to enjoy and want to farm. Because keep in mind, it's never about satisfying the people who want to grind this game for 20 hours a day for, you know, half a year. It's about satisfying us, the average people who are going to spend like 1 or 2 hours in this game. So our experience is good. If you're playing 10 hours of Diablo 4 a day, fuck you. Your opinion is literally useless garbage dribble that is going to... That if the devs actually listen to, is going to completely 100% ruin the experience of everyone else. So, this is good. This is good. As someone who's going to probably play D4 for, you know, an hour, maybe 2 hours a day on every season's release. You know, maybe this is gonna make me play a little bit longer than just a week or two. Maybe I'm gonna play a straight up month because I want to farm something. You know, maybe. Who knows?
Get those through doing the nightmare dungeons.
So the Beast in Ice is a new boss that you can go and summon after you start completing nightmare dungeons higher than tier 30. So tier 31 plus nightmare dungeons, you know, like 85-ish monsters.
But
and so
it said 21 in this thing right here. What? I think he misspoke. Probably.
Plus nightmare dungeons, you know, 85-ish monsters and so on from there. There's chances for the components that you need to drop at the end of the nightmare dungeon you'll be able to use to make a new special nightmare dungeon key that explicitly brings you to the Beast in Ice's lair.
Now, here's the cool thing I thought they did on this one is because the Duriel is summoned through getting Varshan in World Tier 4 and Gregorio in World Tier 4. This means you're not gated by having to farm Nightmare Dungeons in order to get Uber Unique. So even though Nightmare Dungeons are...
But we're not still seeing... Oh, the last... Oh, man. The last boss is just the new mechanic boss. Okay. Well, I guess that's fine.
The goated, they did make them more goated by adding Uber Unique gatekeeping through Nightmare Dungeons. I thought that was a smart decision. There's the story boss, Lord Zier. I wasn't 100% familiar with the loot that's going to be associated with that one, since it is sort of the story boss to Season 2. However, there's also an Uber version called Lord Zier, which you'll get by doing world bosses as well as Legion events.
While you will be able to confront like a story version of Lord Zier as you go through the quest line in World Tiers 1 and 2, there is a much more difficult, challenging version of Lord Zier that you'll fight.
Wait, oh, world bosses as an actual... Oh, shit, that's lame. What is Legion events anyway? Oh, Legion events are the things... I don't know. You see, it's nice that they add, like, more things to do with world bosses. I'm kind of all for that in Legion events. Finally, well, to be honest, Legion events and world bosses do drop really good loot. But, man, Legion events suck. They really do suck so much. They're so boring. They're so honestly fucking boring. Man, they're so boring. The Legion events in general need to be reworked. Man, they need to not be as boring because they're extremely spastic and zoomery, but they're so boring at the same time. Oh, I can't. And the thing is, they're timed. I really don't like the fact that they are timed like this because this is gonna probably, my prediction is when the game launches, it's gonna turn out that you're feeling like you need to be logged in 24/7. Otherwise, it's gonna be super, super hard to farm the things that you want to do because world bosses spawn in only certain amounts, certain times, right? Legion events don't spawn all that often also. Hell Tides, same thing. I'm afraid that all these... While this does give everything an extra in-depth purpose of why you want to do X activity, and that's nice, I'm afraid that it's going to create the feeling that if you don't play the game 24/7, you can't even get to these endgame activities. It kind of starts to look like that if when I think about it a bit more.
World Tier 4 once you're ready for that content, and you'll be able to access and summon forth Lord Zier this way as you kill world bosses in World Tier 4 and as you complete Legion events in World Tier 4. You'll be able to gather these materials forward and bring them to go and summon Lord Zier.
So again, they're tying different bosses to different variety of content. So if you want like a Tempest Roar, you go do, Hell Tides. If you want this one, that's not actually the one it's for, but I'm saying certain uniques will be tied to certain bosses. So depending upon the class, there will be reason specifically to target other content in the game. I think that is a good change because at the moment, it's basically Nightmare Dungeon or quit the game because Nightmare Dungeons are the GOAT. So forcing people out of the Nightmare Dungeons into the overworld is literally what I suggested that one of the things that they should do to help improve the game is get people out of the Nightmare Dungeons. However, speaking of Nightmare Dungeons did get some quality of life buffs as well as some good changes associated with them. Teleporting now brings you directly inside of the dungeon, so you're not getting hit with that double loading screen. Events within dungeons now have monster density increased as well, which is a huge win in my opinion, because everyone loves density. I've been playing Path of Exile, and having these huge mob density that you blow through feels amazing. I think we should get as much density as possible. NPCs and events won't get one shot instantly. There are some very annoying ones, like the ones with the dude that puts their head through the thing, you know, like the stockades or whatever it is, where they're stuck there. They can get like insta-gibbed. So the NPCs will be a little bit more tanky, the ones you have to save, for instance. Okay, traps are more visible, and CC has been reduced. Paragon glyph experience is being increased as a reward, because paragons are a pain in the booty to level. There is changes to some of the most annoying things like lightning storm, backstabber, etc. So that way you don't get one shot as much, or it's not so annoying. Effectively, they're trying to reduce the shit that everyone's moaning about.
Okay, I don't see the one with the ice thing. Okay. Yeah, that's bad. Oh, wait, no, this is just Nightmare Dungeon Afflictions. Okay, that's a change. Because they really need to nerf the ice thing. Because if a rare assassin mob has it, and they have a good affix and plus the ice shit, it's probably one-shotting you. That's really, really bad also. Obviously,
and
right?
make stuff that people think feel bad better. They are doing some changes around Nightmare Dungeons to make them smoother and better, while trying to still incentivize you to go outside of the Nightmare Dungeon. So I like that they're still improving quality of life on a part that's an already too important part of the game, but then while still making that better, they're forcing you outside the Nightmare Dungeon. I think that was a good decision in my own personal opinion. They once again tried to remove doubling back in Nightmare Dungeons, and now it's much more about just get to the boss, find the boss, kill the boss. Like, people like killing bosses. So I like that as well. And I'm mostly excited to learn about these world bosses, or the new 5 new bosses and the unique changes, because I still think the biggest complaint currently people have within Diablo is the fact that itemization doesn't feel good, which is why the one I started by in the beginning was World Tier 3 Sacred only, World Tier 4 Ancestral only.
Oh, no. Admittedly, that's a good change also. But at the same time, I really want that... I really want them to just make that itemization more in-depth. And currently, I don't know if that's happening. It doesn't seem like it, but yeah.
Which will mean you get your gear even sooner, which has been a complaint. But now it's more about farming the uniques through these new target farming methods in order to get the uniques, and then hopefully uber uniques for the mega grinders. Or specifically, it's not really even supposed to be mega grinders. It's supposed to be achievable for people that are actually playing the game now, but still rare and difficult to acquire. How they balance that, I don't have the numbers on. We'll find out together. I think where really the weight of this comes down to is the next Campfire Chat, when we learn the unique item changes and how much exactly these item changes on the uniques will affect the power of these uniques. A lot of uniques feel bad. Barbarian is a great example of somebody.
Ooh, I wonder how many. Well, I don't know.
Doesn't have uniques to really do almost anything. And while they added, vulnerability and critical damage, etc., to certain items.
Dude, barbarians don't need their uniques to do anything. If you're playing a barbarian, you're a basic moron, okay? I'm not gonna sugarcoat it for you. You're a fucking idiot, okay? I said it. I said what your dad told you a long time ago, but you thought it was a joke, and what your mom was too pussy to actually ever tell you, okay? So, barbarian uniques don't need to be special in any way. They might as well all be just, plus 2% damage, plus 10% defense, and things like that. Barbarian players don't need anything more than that, because let's face it, every barbarian is still at some point gonna just 100% commit to Whirlwind, and that's gonna be it. So, they don't give a shit. The more passive effects that increase their damage and defense, they're happy, okay? Maybe if you want to be super generous, just sprinkle in a movement speed effect, and then they're gonna jizz. But other than that, who gives a shit?
While back to try to make them even better. Fundamentally, still they don't feel so great. All of the uniques. So if they make uniques actually good and exciting to acquire, then give us bosses to fight in order to target these uniques, and then have overworld events, Legion events, things you need to do that aren't just Nightmare Dungeons in order to unlock these bosses. You might actually have a somewhat satisfying gameplay loop that ends on you getting uber uniques or target farming. So that is sort of what we're seeing so far. They're also going to talk about resistance changes, the fact that vulnerability and critical strike damage, and are way too overpowered, as well as class balance changes in the upcoming live stream. So we have some of the conversation already acquired, which so far is looking, I will admit it, better than I thought. I thought it was going to be a Season 2 snooze fest, in my own personal opinion. I thought it was going to be Cage Hearts 2.0.
Same.
This looks a little bit...
After watching Ziz's video, yeah, it seemed like it's going to be a snooze fest, but this actually highlights a couple of things that could work, could be decent. Huh, interesting how that works.
Better than I was expecting. So
it's the Doomer video, and after it's like the, oh, hey, maybe there's a chance video,
we'll have to see what happens on the 10th with the next update live stream. And that one, I think the real telltale sign is going to be the damage buckets plus the unique changes in order to see the full picture on how this new gameplay farming loop is going to go together. That's just a brief overview. I'm sure I got some of these, not 100%.
Well, that's absolutely fine, my boy. Anyway, that was our boy, as always. And this was me, Quizzer77. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.